My alarm clock shatters the quiet of the early morning. Another Monday, another week of high school lies ahead. I smack the snooze button, not quite ready to leave the warmth of my blankets. A few more minutes of sleep won't hurt. But before I know it, sunlight is streaming through my bedroom window, telling me I've definitely overslept this time. I bolt upright, heart racing. My clock now reads 7:45 a.m. School starts in 15 minutes. I leap out of bed, hurriedly brushing teeth and throwing on clothes. No time for a shower or breakfast today. Downstairs I can hear my parents in the kitchen, chatting over their morning coffee. "Alex, your bus will be here any minute." My mom calls up. I know. I'm coming." I shout back, shoving books into my backpack. Just another chaotic Monday morning. My parents are used to this frantic routine by now. I've never been the most organized student when it comes to getting up on time. Especially on dreary Monday mornings after a weekend of staying up late reading or exploring the woods surrounding our sleepy town. I thunder down the stairs and rush into the kitchen, greeted by the smell of fresh coffee and sound of sizzling bacon. My stomach rumbles, cursing myself for not getting up when my alarm first went off. But there's no time for breakfast now. "Have a good day, sweetie," my mom says, handing me a toasted bagel wrapped in a napkin as I fly out the door to the bus stop at the end of our street. My inquisitive mind has been both a gift and a curse since I was young. Always curious about the world around me, but often late and disorganized. I manage to wolf down the bagel before the bus pulls up, my empty stomach somewhat satisfied. As the bus winds its way towards school, I gaze out the window watching familiar streets and houses pass by. Our town is small and sleepy, nestled on the edge of a sprawling forest that has always captivated my imagination. As we drive along the tree-lined road bordering the woods, I feel the hairs on my neck stand up. Did I just see someone standing between the trees watching the bus? I whip my head around to look again, pressing my face against the glass. But the bus has already moved on, the spot obscured by branches and early morning mist. I sink back into my seat, heart racing slightly. It was probably just a shadow or my groggy mind playing tricks on me. But something about the dark, looming woods always sends a spark of excitement through my veins. A world of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. Chapter 2. The first half of the school day drags on, my mind continuously wandering back to the blurry figure I thought I glimpsed at the edge of the woods. During math class, I stare out the window across the grounds to the ominous tree line, half expecting to catch another glimpse of movement between the shadowy trunks and leaves. But the longer I look, the denser and more impenetrable the forest seems. A shiver runs down my spine and I have to force myself to turn my attention back to the equations written on the board. When the lunch bell finally rings, I breathe a sigh of relief. My best friend Kevin is already at our usual table, unpacking an overflowing bag of food when I slam my tray down across from him. "Dude, I have to tell you something crazy that happened this morning," I announce before he can even say hello. Kevin just chuckles and shakes his head, used to my excitable outbursts about one mystery or phenomenon I've stumbled across or another. My reputation as an amateur sleuth is well known at this school. "Let me guess, you discovered Bigfoot roaming around your backyard?" Kevin replies with a grin. I roll my eyes dramatically. "No, smartass. This morning on my way to school, I looked out the bus window into the woods and for a split second I swear I saw someone standing there between the trees, watching the bus go by. It gave me the chills." I expect Kevin to make another joke, but his expression grows serious. "That is pretty creepy," he mutters around a mouthful of sandwich. "Right? The figure was only there for a second before the bus passed by. But something felt weird, like whoever it was wanted me to see them." Kevin shakes his head. "I dunno man, it was probably just a shadow or something. These woods of yours seem to be getting into your head." I nod reluctantly, poking at my food. Kevin's probably right, just another figment of my overactive imagination. But I can't seem to let it go. Some unexplainable gut feeling tells me there's more to this than shadows. The rest of the day drags as teachers' voices blur into background noise. The image of that figure at the tree line invades my thoughts. I keep glancing at the clock, desperate for this school day to be over. The woods are calling my name. When the last bell rings, I bolt from my seat, yelling a hasty goodbye to Kevin over my shoulder. Today I can't get home fast enough. I need to get to those woods before this unshakable feeling consumes me. The bus can't come soon enough. Chapter 3. I spend that entire evening wandering the shadowy forest near my house. The damp earth sinks under my shoes and gnarled branches reach across the darkening path as I search for, well, I'm not even sure what exactly. But some inexplicable gut feeling pushes me forward between the close-knit tree trunks. My heart leaps each time a squirrel darts by or a crow caws overhead. But no matter how deep I venture, there's no sign of the watcher I glimpsed this morning. And yet the feeling of unseen eyes tracking my movements through the trees intensifies with every step. The sun begins dipping below the trees as I finally emerge from the woods. A profound sense of disappointment hangs over me during the quiet walk home. I was so sure I'd find something, some explanation for the irresistible pull this forest seems to have over me. Once home I pick at my dinner, lost in thought. Both my parents notice my distracted silence. "Everything okay, Alex? You seem a little preoccupied lately," my dad observes, eyebrow raised. "Yeah, totally fine, just tired. School stuff, you know," I mumble an excuse to avoid more questions. They exchange a parental look of concern but don't push me. In bed that night, I toss and turn, thoughts consumed by the dark woods and its hidden mysteries. Exhaustion eventually overtakes me, but it brings little peace. Vivid dreams fill my sleep. I'm alone in the shadowy forest, darkness engulfing me. The wind picks up out of nowhere, howling violently through gnarled branches overhead. Thunder rumbles in the distance. I whirl around searching for shelter, but see only never-ending trees. Suddenly a piercing scream echoes through the woods, raising the hairs on my arms. I break into a run toward the sound. The vegetation rips at my clothing as I crash blindly through the undergrowth. The shrieking intensifies, reverberating through my bones. Bursting into a moonlit clearing, I stop short. In the center, surrounded by a circle of towering, ancient trees, stands a cloaked figure, their face obscured in shadow. My heart pounds as the figure raises a long, bony finger, and beckons me forward. I open my mouth to scream but no sound comes out. Dark tendrils creep out from the trees, snaking across my ankles, up my legs, pulling me down into suffocating blackness. I wake with a start, clothes soaked in sweat. Morning sunshine streams through my bedroom window, birds chirping outside. I rub my eyes, hands still shaking. It was only a dream, and yet it felt so real. The image of the dark figure in the moonlit grove is seared into mind, like a vivid memory rather than a twisted imagining. I can't stop thinking about the dream all morning. Its chilling intensity and specific details. As I stare absent-mindedly out the bus window on the way to school, my breath catches in my throat. There, between the trees, is the clearing from my dream. In the daylight it appears warm and peaceful, bathed in rays of morning sun. But I feel certain that somewhere beneath the rustling leaves and singing birds, darkness dwells. This can't be mere coincidence. Some strange force deep within these woods is calling to me, of that I'm now positive. And I need to find out why. Chapter 4. That weekend I tell my parents I'm sleeping over at Kevin's house. A totally normal, believable high school weekend plan. What I don't tell them is that Kevin actually thinks I'm safely at home. The only destination I have planned tonight is the shadowy forest and whatever secrets lie within its depths. Under the cover of darkness I sneak out my bedroom window, backpack loaded with supplies. I pause at the tree line taking a steadying breath, then plunge into the woods. A full moon lights my path between twisting limbs and curtains of ivy as I navigate deeper into the forest. Eventually, I find the moonlit grove from my dream. It looks tranquil, almost inviting, bathed in mellow moonbeams. But I hesitate at the edge, a cold sense of dread creeping up my spine. The dreams suddenly feel like warning signs, not invitations. I stand paralyzed between conflicting instincts to flee or enter. But the choice is made for me. A frigid wind kicks up, howling through the clearing. Trees groan and contort in agony against the malicious gusts. The once peaceful glade morphs into a nightmarish tempest. I'm knocked off my feet as the wind roars louder. Night creatures screech, fleeing the unseen evil infecting this space. Through the chaos I hear it. A voice, neither male nor female, ancient and booming. "You were warned, but you came anyway," it rumbles. I scream against the thundering din. The voice sounds again, closer, right in my ear. "Now you are mine, sweet child," it cackles with twisted glee. A specter looms over me, eyes glowing red, maw opening to monstrous size. I squeeze my eyes shut, begging to wake up from this nightmare. Suddenly the wind stops. I crack my eyes open to silence. The clearing is empty once more, no sign of the entity. Trembling, I flee into the night. Somehow I find my way home, collapsing into bed. Sleep comes in tormented fits. The thing in the woods haunts me, raging against being denied its prey. I awaken drenched in icy sweat, the haunting voice echoing in my mind. This curse cannot be escaped by simply staying away from the forest. Whatever sinister presence dwells there has touched my soul, claimed ownership of it. I now know the truth humans deny, that ancient evils still walk this earth unseen by most. And one of them has chosen me as its unwilling acolyte. I fear this is only the beginning. Chapter 5. Even at school I find no peace the following week. Focusing on lessons becomes impossible as the entity's raspy voice from the woods whispers unintelligibly in my mind at all hours. My friends notice me zoning out during conversations, staring vacantly into space trying to interpret these phantom words I alone can hear. At night the visions grow even more intense. I'm walking down the empty school hallway when unseen hands shove me from behind, sending me sprawling. Looking up from the tiled floor, I see students lining the hallway, heads down, faces blurred and indistinct. As I stagger to my feet, they begin marching towards me in unison, slowly backing me against a wall. I scream for help but the students don't react at all, faces remaining blank and emotionless. Their chanting voices build to a roar in my head. "One of us. One of us," they drone as they close in on all sides. The hallway darkens, their eyes now glowing red. Clawed, inhuman fingers reach for me as I cower helpless and paralyzed against cold metal lockers. My own shrieks wake me. But the lingering sense of being stalked, toyed with against my will, remains. These are more than dreams. They're warnings. My soul is no longer my own. I'm a pawn trapped in a game only the entity understands. During school I now see shadows darting at the edges of my vision. Phantom breezes chill my neck when no windows are open. A sickening thought crystallizes in my mind. The dark spirit is no longer confined to the woods. Somehow, impossibly, it has found a way to manifest itself here in the halls I once considered my sanctuary. The entity's influence is spreading, contaminating every space I inhabit. There will soon be nowhere left to hide. I feel the vice tightening around my mind. I don't know what this evil wants with me, but I cannot withstand the attacks alone much longer. Today after the last bell Kevin finds me huddled at my locker, head clutched in trembling hands. His brown eyes radiate concern as I recount in choking whispers the entity's intrusions into my reality. He listens intently, worry lines creasing his forehead. Slinging my arm around his shoulder, half dragging me to his car, Kevin speaks reassuringly. "We'll figure this out, buddy, I promise. But first let's get you home. The unyielding warmth and patience in his voice cuts through the fear for the first time in weeks. I know at last I'm not alone in this fight. Chapter 6. Kevin refuses to leave my side over the next few days as the entity's attacks against my psyche grow bolder. He stays with me after school into the late hours, keeping up a steady stream of idle chatter, video games, favorite movies, anything to drown out the ominous whispers. We pass my parents off as your average sleep-deprived students pulling late study nights and weekend hangouts. They're too thrilled to see me spending time with friends again after weeks of isolation to question this lie. But the moments of respite are fleeting. My few hours of sleep are plagued by increasingly vivid nightmares of racing through the pitch-black woods, fleeing the cackling entity that toys with my mind. Shadow wraiths with hollow eyes stalk from behind trees, hungry for the fear radiating off me. In school the illusions grow more frequent and brazen. A hulking silhouetted mass shambles alongside me down the hallways. I freeze, heart seizing in my chest before realizing no one else notices it. During class the whiteboard burns with illegible symbols and languages long dead, messages meant only for me. At home my bedroom fills with eerie whispers and shapes only I can perceive. The entity is done with subtlety, eager to claim its broken prize. This can't go on, I realize. I need to confront this presence on my own terms, in the woods where it holds dominion, before the last shreds of sanity are torn away. That night I tell a reluctant Kevin of my plan. His eyes shine with heart-wrenching concern. But he knows I have no other choice if I'm to reclaim my mind and sever this accursed bond. He hugs me tight, voice breaking as he vows to be waiting right outside the woods when I return. My throat burns, unable to express the enormity of my gratitude. The moon is veiled by clouds when I reach the grove, a small mercy dampening its ethereal terror. But I know this ancient evil by now requires no visual theatrics to herald its approach. The unnatural stillness of the glade confirms I am no longer alone. I close my eyes, drawing a quavering breath. I'm here, damn you. I shout into the void, my voice quaking with false bravado. Now show yourself. A gelid wind swirls to life, carrying with it the entity's guttural, putrid words. Foolish child. You have served your purpose. Chapter 7. The inky void engulfs me as my knees hit frozen earth. My mind reels against the darkness seeping into my pores, my lungs, claiming every cell. After lifetimes trapped underwater I hear my own anguished screams and remember where I am. I open my eyes to a scarlet sky fractured with alien constellations. The once verdant glade now hosts towering obsidian peaks that pierce eternally roiling crimson clouds. I stagger to my feet and glimpse the cyclopean stone temple emerging from obfuscating fog in the distance, every primal instinct screaming at me to flee this nightmare realm. But I stand my ground even as sanity withers. I know now the pale shadow of reality I once inhabited was but a barrier the entity needed time to penetrate. Why have you brought me here? My words quaver as I spit them into the polluted ether, uncertain if I truly want an answer. The sky rips open with a thunderous tear, dispersing the veil of fog around the temple. Black lightning streaks overhead as evil swirling between worlds steps forth. Behold your true destiny, youngling, it proclaims in savage triumph. The stars and shadows long foretold your coming. You alone carry the spark, the key to unleashing my kind's glorious rebirth into the earthly plane. It extends a skeletal claw and my eyes follow to the monolith at the temple's peak. Carved obsidian depictions of winged, writhing creatures I now recognize as her kin leer down as if mocking my smallness. My mind fractures trying to comprehend the scale of this cosmic atrocity I've been bred to catalyze. No. I won't help you violate my world. Find some other pawn. I roar in desperation. My only reply is cacophonous laughter that splits the firmament. I break into a helpless run, one word pulsing in time to frantic heartbeats. Home, home, home. I don't get far. The earth opens beneath me, phosphorescent tendrils coiling around limbs as I'm lowered toward the neon glowing pit. Frigid, mossy stone presses against my back. Dark magic forces rigid compliance.